All right, what we're doing today is we are going to try to fix this Game Boy Color. It is pretty trashed, and the screen is definitely no good on it, but the terminals look pretty good. So I'm hopeful that we can get it going. I did try to put some batteries in it and turn it on, but as you can see, nothing. And I don't think it could be these terminals are bent, but I think it's a little more than that, probably. Let's see if we can bend these up and just check really fast, because they are kind of bent down. Alright, that one's definitely touching. Yeah, I don't think it's the terminals. Yep. Nothing going on there, so I will just go ahead and show you the screen close up really fast. As you can see, oh man, that screen is toasted. So yeah, and I'll just show you the terminals close up really fast. I mean, they look pretty good. I don't see any major corrosion there, but we won't know till we open it up, right? So that screen is super toasted, but luckily we have this from a previous project, which is just a screen and a shell left over from previous project. So we will have a good screen to throw in here. And so yeah, we'll just take it apart and see if we can get it figured out, get it working. And if we can get this working, I have an idea for a project in the future for it, but that will be in another video. For now, we just got to worry about getting this thing working. So that's what we're going to do in this video. So we'll go ahead and open it up. Go ahead and grab our tri-wing bit. Hopefully this thing's not too messed up on the inside. Guess we'll find out though, won't we? There is a little bit of corrosion on the screws, but that's to be expected on a 30-year-old piece of hardware. I don't think anyone's been inside of this before. The screws feel about as tight as they should be, so that leaves me a little bit hopeful. And I was just going to say that we are trying a new audio setup today. I got a new microphone, so hopefully audio quality is improved a little bit, but I won't know until I start editing, so sorry if it's even crappier. Okay. Well, wow, it actually looks pretty good inside of there. Not too bad. We'll go ahead and zoom you in and show you the inside. Been trying to not zoom in too far to where it goes blurry. Well, it's not too bad. It's a little bit dirty, but I don't see any major corrosion or anything. It looks pretty good in there, so We just got to figure out why it's not powering on. Alright, I zoom you back out. Oh, there she did. Alright, I think the first thing we're going to do is turn on the bench power supply. And we will put it on 3 volts, 1 amp. Probably don't even need an amp, but we'll go half an amp just to start. And this is negative. This is positive. Try not to short anything while we're doing this. And we'll go ahead and power it on and try to flip the switch, which is already on. And so I have a, oh, did it try to power on right there? Ooh, I hear the speaker. Ooh, I think it's the power switch. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. There we go. Ooh, it even beeped. Yeah. All right, so when we jiggle the power switch, it will power on. So that points to a bad power switch, which we should hopefully be able to clean, possibly take apart and clean. So here is our power switch. Oh yeah, that's kind of dirty. See if I can zoom you in for it. I wish this thing would get a little bit closer than it does. So that is our power switch. Looks a little bit corroded. So we will go ahead and clean that first, try and get that working. And if we can get the power switch working, then we will turn our attention to capacitor 1, capacitor 2, and capacitor 3. They actually look pretty good on this system, but these caps go bad a lot of the time, so you just want to replace these when you get the chance to. And I have some extras. So first things first, though, we're gonna try to get this switch working, which hopefully we can. We'll go ahead and take the rest of this board out, disconnect this screen, which this screen is completely toasted. Well, we heard the beep, so we know our speaker is good. So that's a plus. All right, let's see the front. Oh man, the front even looks pretty good. This is actually a lot better condition Game Boy than I thought it was going to be. I'm not sure if I even want to use this one for the project I have in mind, but we might. Let's just worry about getting it working. So we'll worry about that for now. But yeah, it's in pretty good condition. No corrosion on the button pads. Speaker's working. So let's see if we can get this switch cleaned. Oh yeah, that's really filthy. Here, I'll just zoom in and show you it sideways if we can. I don't know if you can see, but that switch is very, very dirty. what you can do is you can desolder these switches and take this metal shielding off and clean the inside. But I'm thinking I'm just going to try to spray some cleaner in there first. And then if that doesn't work, we'll go ahead and take it apart. So we will start with the old contact cleaner. We'll use good old-fashioned isopropyl alcohol also. Can't hurt to have multiple cleaners. And we will wipe up with our Q-tip. Well, that's actually cleaning up a lot better than I thought it was going to. Blow it out. Oh man, that looks a lot cleaner already. Try to spray in there real good. Well, it sure is moving a lot more freely now. So that's good. We will go ahead and plug our power supply back on. Turn it on and see if it works now. And it seems to be working just fine now. So, oh yeah, working every time now. So if you cleaned your switch like that and it's still not working, you can take the shielding off and clean it even further. And but I would just try to clean it with some isopropyl or contact cleaner before I take this off, because they are kind of a pain to get back on, as well as they're on there from the factory. So ours seems to be working just fine now. So what we will do now is take our parts Game Boy, which is just a screen and a shell and some buttons. This is the color Game Boy I had when I was a kid. Brings back some memories. Alright, so we'll go ahead and throw this guy on the screen really quick, just to make sure that the screen connector and everything works. We'll go ahead and spray this with contact cleaner while we're at it. Can't hurt. And this is just to make sure that our screen connector and everything's fine before we move further. And we do have a game to test with. Try to keep all this stuff from falling apart. And let's see if, ooh. Yeah, it's working. We don't have our buttons plugged in. I think our contrast is a little messed up. That could be from the capacitors, though. We'll go ahead and throw some buttons in just so we can skip to the main menu. Possibly. There we go. The buttons were keeping this from going all the way. All the way down. Oh yeah, there's definitely a contrast issue with the screen. I don't know if that's the screen or the Game Boy itself, but we're going to try to change out the capacitors and see if that helps. There's definitely a contrast issue. That is, I'm thinking it's most likely the capacitors, but it is working. It does seem a little bit quiet too. All right. We will go ahead and change the capacitors next, but just for fun, I want to test them on capacitance and just see what they say, which you can't really accurately test capacitors in circuit, but we're going to try. 126 microfarad, and that's supposed to be 100, so that's a little bit out of tolerance, but it's nothing too crazy. 26, and that's supposed to be a 22. That's not too bad. Thinking it might not be the capacitors now. 127, yeah, that's not too far off. We will go ahead and change these guys though. It's always good to have new capacitors. Certainly can't hurt. And I'm just curious to see if that will fix our contrast issue, but I don't think that it's the capacitors, but who knows. I'm leaning more towards, I don't know, it could be this potentiometer right here. And one of the best ways to take off capacitors like this is to just use 2 soldering irons and basically like chopstick style take them off. So that is what we are going to attempt to do. Go ahead and take these guys out. So they are all ready to go. Go ahead and start with that guy. I will zoom you in a bit. We will start by adding a little bit of leaded solder. And hopefully we can just, oh, I'm a lot more shaky with my left hand. Lift it off just like that. Try and make sure we're nice and flush. Alright, we got that guy. Now let's go to the next guy. Try and keep you in frame. I keep forgetting I'm zoomed in, and I have to be careful about the framing. But we will try our best. Use the good soldering iron to add the leaded. Try to chopstick it again. Just like that. Try and make sure we're nice and flush again. And on there pretty good. And we just have one more to go. And this one seems to be in the tightest area, but should be all right. Hopefully the new sound mic is working. Should be better than the camera mic, because that camera mic hummed and it picked up everything, so I can't imagine this mic being worse, so should be okay. Pressing frame. That one came off real easy. Make sure we're on there, nice and flush. Both sides soldered. Yeah, looks pretty good. On there, nice and stable. We can go ahead and turn off our second soldering iron so we don't accidentally burn ourselves. go ahead and clean the tip first, just so it's clean for next time. It is kind of handy having 2 soldering irons sometimes. When I see a bunch of people talking about these capacitors and the best way to put them on and take them off, I never see anyone talking about using 2 soldering irons. I mean, it's really probably the best way. It's a lot better than hot air because you're not going to melt anything else. Yeah, I think the only other thing that would work comparable to 2 soldering irons is hot tweezers, like soldering iron tweezers, which is basically 2 soldering irons put together. So just for a tip for in case anyone needs it, 2 soldering irons does come in handy. We'll zoom out just a little bit and go ahead and clean our work area. Alright, now that we've cleaned our work area, we will inspect one more time. Make sure we got all of our joints, which it looks like we did. And then we will go ahead and do another test just to make sure we're still working and see if that helped with our contrast, which I'm not so sure it did, but because the capacitors did test pretty much okay before we switched them. So we will find out though, won't we? We can probably turn off our soldering iron now. Then we can go ahead and test this guy again, which the contrast is still pretty low. Alright, yeah, the capacitors made no difference. So now we know was not the capacitors. What we will do is try to clean this little potentiometer right here. It is right here. So we will just clean that out. It does look pretty dirty, so I am curious to see what is causing our low contrast. Game Boy Colors usually don't have this issue, but apparently this one does. The potentiometer is pretty filthy. We do want to turn it, but we probably want to put it right back where it was. It looks like it's pretty much in an X. There is this line right at this corner, this line right about at that corner. So we'll just have to remember that. And go ahead and try to... Well, it seems kind of stuck. Well, we got some Sharpie right there that we accidentally sprayed that we didn't think about. Should be okay. Alright, let's see if cleaning that potentiometer did anything. I'm not so sure it did anything, but we'll find out. Right about now. Oh no. It could just be our screen too, because I wasn't so sure that this. I thought this screen worked before, but yeah, there's basically hardly any contrast. We're gonna try one more thing. Let's try to clean this ribbon cable, which this ribbon cable looks just fine, so I don't think it's that. It could just be this screen too, which is very possible. And we're not exactly going to use this screen for our project, so it doesn't really matter. But I would like to know if it's the screen or the Game Boy. So we'll try and figure that out. If not, we will just use it for our project. Now what we could do is take apart our other Game Boy and swap the screens just to make sure, but I kind of don't want to do that. What I'm going to try to do is just adjust this potentiometer right here. I'm not even so sure that affects the screen. Oh, that did give us better contrast. I think we did it. We just had to adjust that potentiometer a little bit. Yeah, look at that. Now we have contrast. We can see. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, you can actually read what's on the screen now. Sweet. So that's good to know that you can adjust that potentiometer. I wasn't even so sure that it affected the screen, but I think I remember now, like hearing that since they moved, like since the Game Boy Color doesn't have a contrast wheel like the Game Boy Pockets did, they put it in the back. If I don't know if I remember that correctly though, but I thought I heard that one time. All right, so the contrast seems to be working. So now what we will do is just clean up this board just a little bit and reassemble it. I'm not sure which case to use, the purple or the blue. I think I'm going to use the blue just because that's the color I had when I was a kid and the shell is in a lot better condition. And we'll save the purple one for a later date. And replacement Game Boy Color screens are really cheap because everyone likes to mod the Game Boy Color and they put in a nice screen like I did with this one. And that screen is way better. And it's backlit. So that's nice. You can play in the dark. And so, yeah, it's a lot better screen. And the project I was thinking of doing with this Game Boy Color is one of these, which is kind of a big project. So we'll attempt to do this at a later date. I still need a few more things before I can do it, but at least we will have working color that we need to finish this. I'm sure a few of the eagle-eyed viewers will know what this is, but yeah, it'd be really cool to have one of these going. We will put that in a separate video. We'll make it its own video. All right, so let's just clean this guy up a little bit. Not that it's too dirty, but it's always easier to clean it all. Okay, the cleaning part is go ahead and spray out the volume wheel. Can't hurt. Alright, I think that's alright for the back. The front is the more important part to clean. We're running out of Q-tips. Man, that area was pretty dang dirty. Use a new Q-tip for the button pads. Probably the most important part on the front. Clean button pads. Now that was kind of dirty on the front. One more thing, we will spray out the headphone jack. Alright, I think that's good enough. Nice and clean buttons. Nice and clean back. We will go ahead and reassemble. Oh. Zoom out just a touch. Alright, we are going to use the teal. I do have a few extra pieces. I have an extra shield, but I'm not going to use that. I do have an extra sticker also. Should I use these buttons? I think I'm going to use the OEM buttons, but I do want to see what these would look like. Those actually would be pretty cool. little bit clashy though, I think. Yeah, they don't look just quite right. They're pretty close, but they're not perfect. We'll go ahead and use the OEM buttons just for a OEM feel. Yeah, this guy's pretty dang clean, actually. We will use the old button pads, which are pretty filthy. Kind of want to see if the screen works just for fun, but no, it didn't work when we turned it on, so there's no point to do that. I would use this purple shell, but it's pretty dang scratched, and the lens is really scratched, so I think it's just better since I have this shell to use the teal one. So that's what we'll do. Go ahead and clean our button pads. Like I was saying in the Nintendo 64 controller video, these can break really easily. Like if you go like this and put too much pressure this way on the raised part, it can just rip right off. I've done it before, so got to be careful with these. Yeah, those guys are pretty dang filthy. Well, that's much better. Man, start and select buttons always get really filthy on these. Look how dirty those are. Now look, this button came from the clean teal one, so and it's still dirty. Can't even imagine how the purple one looks to be cleaner, but it's got some scuffs on it, so we'll go ahead and clean the one from the teal. If you don't clean these buttons good enough, you can get sticky buttons and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of problems. I think sticky buttons suck though, and this helps prevent them. You never realize how tough it can be to clean buttons until you've cleaned a few really filthy buttons. Alright, that should be good enough. It's a lot better than it was. Not perfect, but And then for those guys, we'll go ahead and just rip off some paper towel. And with that, nice, quick, and easy. And we will just do this really quick for the shell. Alright, and that should be good enough to put back together. So let's do that. Should probably not forget our power switch. Which we'll wipe down real fast. Make sure all of our buttons are pressable. Put in our 3 screws holding the motherboard together. Retest our buttons. Make sure everything works. We will go ahead and put our ribbon cable back together. Oh, and we screwed up. Like we always do. Got to put the speaker in. Like that. Alright, put our IR shield back on. And we should be able to put everything back together. Try to clean our screws just a little bit. Use the cleanest of our screws. Alright, before we put the rest of the screws in, we will just go ahead and do a little test. And it sucks because in both of these shells, I don't have the back to either one, so that is kind of lame, but that's alright. And hopefully, if we did everything right, we have a working Game Boy. Alright. Cool. And it works. All the buttons work. Up, down, left, right. Cool. Oh, we don't have the power bracelet yet or whatever. Alright, it seems to work. Every button works, so I call that a win. Now we have this guy for a project in the future, but I just wanted to make sure it worked before we did anything too major with it. Because if you do a major project and then it doesn't work and you aren't even sure if your Game Boy worked before you started, you have no idea what was going on. But since it works, we have a pretty good idea that we should be all right for a future project. So I will try to make that a separate on its own video. And yeah, so thanks for watching. I hope the audio was better in this video, because I did try to make it better. Got a new mic, recording audio differently, so hopefully it won't be as annoying as it was in the previous videos. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Oh, just one more thing. I totally forgot. We got to put the rest of these screws in.